XTV's news broadcast for Tuesday, March 18, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, musical icon Aurelio Martinez dies in Honduras plane crash. Shine resigns as UDP leader. Panton charts the way forward, and will Portico Senate inquiry report see the light of day? We take our first break and return with the news in detail. Shine Barrow about who is the true UDP are withdrawing their claim. After the meeting, it was also reported that Hugo Pat will remain the first deputy leader of the UDP, while Beverly Williams remains second deputy leader. Here is what Pat had to say about the new direction of the party.
As far as I'm concerned, we only have one leader, and from there we move on. The UDP is united as we speak under the leadership of Madame Tracy Panton, and from there we move on.
And there can be no pressure on you now. In your view, the elections decided everything for the UDP.
The people spoke, and the message was clear. We need to unify, and that unification will only happen under the leadership of Honorable Tracy Panton.
Do you regret the choices that you made to support Shine?
No. The elections actually decided everything. That chapter of our history has closed. That book has closed. We're starting a new one, and from here we're moving forward.
In February, we had reported that the Senate President, Carolyn Trench Sandiford, denied the tabling of the Portico definitive agreement, citing the need to conduct due diligence beforehand. She meant that they had to ensure there was nothing in the report that could open the government to a lawsuit, as has happened in the past, costing the government taxpayers dollars. Amid the rumors of an early election, the report was submitted on February 6th, just 3 days before what would be the very last Senate meeting. Because of a clause in the Senate standing orders that requires that a report of a select committee be tabled before the end of the parliamentary session, there are concerns that the report won't see the light of day. Today, on the sidelines of an event, Senator-elect Janelle Shinona, who was the chairperson of the inquiry, was asked if they believe the report will be tabled.
Well, I think it flags to the wider community a couple things. I think parliamentary-wise, from that angle, that those are areas of the standing orders and the parliamentary rules that we need to look at to make sure that we can be accountable in terms of all committees being able to carry forward with that work. We were certainly very committed to completing our task. It was out of our hands when the parliamentary session would end, but certainly once we learned of that, of really going through every challenge, every hurdle, every obstacle to our preferred timeline, and then making sure in the end that we were committed to delivering on that report. I can't speak to what happened in terms of the rationale over and beyond what's already been shared publicly, but it's really about making sure that the Belizean people know that we completed our task, and I think it's showing the importance of having these exercises more regularly so that we can see, the gaps and address those gaps. But also I think it highlights that there's much to be desired in terms of, as public officials who are collecting a pension, who are, putting themselves up for leadership, that there's a legitimate expectation for that to be reciprocated when there are questions asked. We spent the morning talking about, how do we ensure transparency? How do we help to ensure accountability? And I think now it plays out that Belizean people on a whole need to signal very clearly what changes that this experience has highlighted needs to shift to make sure that this is the last time there was an opportunity to do that.
But now, should the report see the light of day?
My personal opinion is that the Belizean people, in some sense of the word, paid for that report. So I think that there should be a delivery of that report. There was a statement made that it was about protecting Belizean taxpayer dollars. But I think if that is the case, there is also an onus that taxpayers' dollars were used and it was public funding, and we have a full budget report included in that draft. So I would certainly hope that from the National Assembly there is clarity in terms of what can happen next, so that there is that accountability there for how those funds were used and what was the report that was ultimately determined to be quote-unquote safe for taxpayer dollars.
Would you just WhatsApp me a copy now?
I don't know that I am in a position to do that, but that's why I was calling out that the parliamentary rules say that the report is handled a certain way.
Right.
But if it is that we want that is shifted, adjusted, amended, so that future reports are not under those same rules, then that is something that we need to look at very seriously, soberly, and make sure that moving forward, what is expected to be available can be available.
Chinona also addressed whether she sees any potential for strengthening of the regulations and standing orders to prevent the stonewalling they faced during their inquiry.
Well, absolutely, and that's why certainly I've repeated that it is an exercise that we should have every single parliamentary session, because I think the more regularly we have a Senate inquiry, given the powers afforded to the Senate to be one of those rare, unique government unicorns that can conduct an inquiry into public business, I think we need to have that power be exercised so that it can be as dynamic and it can reflect. And certainly these exercises give us the opportunity to flag gaps and things that we identify as an quote-unquote issue, so that we can get those amended. But if we're not using that that power and that core function, then until these things come up, then we have all of these scenarios play out. So to answer succinctly, yes, I think it does give us an opportunity to have a retrospective, look at what could have happened differently, look at what could have been done to alleviate some of that. As you said, the obstacles and the challenges that the inquiry faced. But if memory serves, this was only the third or fourth inquiry in the history of the democracy. So I would say it's a quote-unquote success, even that it went through to fruition. Could things have been handled differently? Absolutely. And that's now on all of us to identify what we need to make sure the next inquiry committee does not have to experience, and what we're learning from all of these committees. And I will tell you, the whole component of getting statements and material out to the witnesses was based on a previous inquiry to make sure that people had natural justice and due diligence and an opportunity to review statements to make sure that they didn't have any, they were given an opportunity to respond to any statements made by anybody else. So every Senate inquiry has been a learning experience, and I certainly think that this was also a rich opportunity to, and we can glean and learn from that for the next one.
The National Evangelical Association of Belize, NEAB, the Belize Council of Churches, and the Belize Association of Evangelical Churches today announced that Louis Maximo Wade Jr. has been selected as the senator who will represent the churches in Belize. In a statement released today, they note that over 240 pastors across the country endorsed the appointment of Wade to the post. In the statement, the Church Association expressed their support of Wade, stating, quote, "We are confident that Reverend Louis Wade Jr. will discharge his duties in the Senate with excellence, wisdom, and significant contribution, as he has done throughout his entire career as an exemplary servant leader in Belize," end quote. Wade is also known as the country for both his religious leadership as well as his media presence. He is the manager of Shemax Productions, the parent company of Plus TV, where Wade is the host of the morning TV show Rise and Shine. Bishop Alvin Bengoshe was the previous church senator. After the break, OAS mission recommends increased reliability in voter identification process. Stay with us.
bringing you a brighter tomorrow.
The day after the general elections held on March 12, the Governor General had a Gazette notice published outlining protocols for the appointment of temporary senators. These are of concern to those who would potentially hold the seat of senators, not only because we were told there was no consolation, but also because they consider that the notice time required is prohibitive in the event of an emergency, travel, or illness. The protocol requires that the request for the appointment be issued 3 clear days before a meeting. For her part, the senator-elect for the network of NGOs, Janelle Chinona, has said she would have appreciated consultation, but says she is in favor of streamlining things. At the same time, she considers that if the process can be enhanced after consultation, that will be appreciated.
To be fair to the BNN, since 2016, there has been a very structured, very formal approach that we've adopted. I can certainly appreciate the importance of streamlining that and standardizing it. I am not aware of a conversation being had with stakeholders, or as you say, representatives of the different entities that engage in terms of advising on temporary senators. But I certainly appreciate the logic of it. I will always be a advocate for having a conversation to make sure that any confusion is cleared up, or any, there is an opportunity for anybody to say that this was undermining or attacking, or I would have appreciated a conversation just so that there was awareness of it formally, if you will.
Is it intentionally meant to exclude or undermine the social partners?
I don't know. You would have to ask the drafters of
How do you
that
interpret
SI.
it then?
For us, like I say, I think really and truly there should be a parliamentary calendar where everybody knows when a meeting is coming up. Because if you know that there will be a meeting on March 31st and I don't know that I am not going to be here, or God forbid I get the flu the 29th or the 28th, then there is a way that you can react and you can plan. But if you only find out about meetings at the last minute, it's very hard to plan around that. And I do know, and credit where it is due, the office has been good about calling out, please, as soon as you know, prepare as soon as you can. So I do think this is a legitimate attempt to, as I said, streamline the process and standardize it. Could it have been the benefit of further input and further recommendation? Yes, but that's water under the bridge now if there's already an SI signed. So I would certainly hope that if there's a way to make it even more user-friendly and to ensure that no disenfranchisement or no mischief can be done with that, then yes, I would think that would be open to review.
The 12-member Organization of American States Electoral Observer Mission, in its 19-page report on the 2025 general elections, reported being informed by electoral authorities that the presentation of voters' IDs was not mandatory during voting. The mission considers that the ID is a reliable, standardized means of identification which, quotes, supports the reliable identification of voters during elections, end quote. The mission was told that if a voter turns up without their ID, the presiding officer can identify a voter by other means, quote, including verifying that their information corresponds with the data contained in the voters list and or the registration documents held by the electoral and polling station officials, end quote. The mission therefore recommends that the Representation of the People Act be amended to require that voters present their voter's ID card when voting. Additionally, it calls for the inclusion of a photograph in the voters list to provide polling station officials with an additional mechanism to verify the identity of voters. Meanwhile, the mission also supports that the Elections and Boundaries Department use technology to provide preliminary results of the election's outcome, just as it provides data regarding hourly voter turnout. For the 2025 general elections, the department had 48 staffers at the central office in Belmopan, entering the voter turnout information received by phone from the presiding officers around the country. They use an app that has been developed in partnership with Total Business Solutions. The OAS mission observed that the same app was used to receive and publish division-level election results of the Count 1 form from the returning officers who are using cell phones and a Microsoft Surface Pro tablet. However, the department did not consider the information official until the signed paperwork arrived from the divisions at the central office in Belmopan. In a fracasses, those arrived until the following morning. The OAS mission believes that the department already has the infrastructure to fully implement a preliminary results system, quote, including the preliminary winning candidate in every division and the preliminary number of seats, end quote. The mission affirms that this will provide the public with an official source of preliminary election results. As it relates to women's participation in 2025 general elections, the OAS Electoral Observer mission reported that participation reduced by 3% from the November 2020 general elections, when 15% of candidates were women. For the 2025 elections, there were only 11 women candidates of 90, despite women comprising 51.29% of Belize's voters list. Also, according to the Statistical Institute of Belize's mid-year population estimates for 2024, women represented 50.8% of our population. The mission recommends that measures be put in place to ensure campaign support for women to allow for a more level playing field. In more parliamentary news, Janelle Shanona, the Vice President of Oceania in Belize, has been selected by the Belize network of NGOs to serve a second term as their representative in the Senate, Belize's upper chamber of parliament. Today, she spoke about the honor it represents.
Well, I think it's really gratitude and acknowledgement from the registered NGOs in good standing, and really just being grateful for the opportunity to serve as their voice of power in the corridors of power, because we are really trying in every way, shape, and form to reiterate our commitment to cooperation, to collaboration, to pooling resources, our voices, our strengths, and really making sure that pays dividends, particularly for marginalized people, but certainly Belizeans on a whole.
What difference will your leadership in the Senate hold, or will you bring in terms of your approach this time around?
Well, if you remember, I came in 2022 following the resignation of the previous senator, but it's really that we are committed to our good governance agenda. NGOs have said, we are held to a certain standard as NGOs. We've been speaking this morning at length about accountability and transparency, and NGOs are among those groups that are held to the highest account and responsibility. And we need to see that reflected. I think what we're witnessing beyond the attacks on freedom and justice and liberty every day, perhaps on rights that we took for granted, seeing a commitment to supporting those rights, enhancing those rights, protecting those rights moving forward, but also that, to call for the type of leadership that we know we deserve, and committing to working with the government of Belize, with our fellow civil society partners, with the wider community, to make Belize the Belize we deserve as Belizeans, and to have that be something that we can always count on moving forward.
After the break, MasterCard joins Belize Bank for second Girls for Tech workshop. Stay tuned.
20 years
Dr. Shanin Sachedina, a breast surgeon from the U.S., yesterday pleaded to Belizean men to include chest self-checks as part of their regular routine. Dr. Sachedina said that while it's rare, men can also get breast cancer and urged men to seek medical care as soon as they notice something abnormal in their chest area.
And you are 100% right. Men have issues, right, with the breast because men statistically have breast cancer at a much lower, obviously, rate, right? But they don't need to suffer in silence. The same thing, if you feel something, say something. And our healthcare system, whether it's here in Belize, in other parts of the world, we have to support them.
The second annual Girls for Tech program was successfully held in Belize City through a collaboration between the Belize Bank and MasterCard, with a goal to empower young girls via STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The program, which is taking place from March 17 to 19, 2025, welcomed 300 elementary school girls and gave them valuable STEM skills while also encouraging them to pursue future careers in finance and technology. This year's participating schools include Pancoto Primary School from Sand Hill, Belize District, and Holy Redeemer Primary School, and Grace Primary School from Belize City. The executive chairman of the Belize Bank, Filippo Alario, said that last year's workshop was highly successful and the feedback from the current group has been very positive.
This project is the second year that has been ongoing. The first year was 2024 and it was absolute success. The relationship with MasterCard, as you know, Belize Bank and MasterCard have a long-standing relationship. They are our partners in the issuing side of our credit cards. And this is a global program that MasterCard has designed, especially to encourage young girls from very early to pursue the field of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And they have, as you heard, touched almost 7 million young girls from all over the world in 19 different languages. And it fits exactly the social impact that we as a bank want to have in the generations to come. You cannot build a country and environment without trying to get the young people interested in the field of technology. Technology is the future. Everything we're doing here, this microphone, those cameras, everything is touched by technology, and we need to encourage them to like it, right? And technology and their young mind, their inquisitive minds is what's required to be able to lead in the technology field.
Rodolfo Zavaleta, MasterCard's Regional Commercial Director for Central America, explained that all involved in Girls for Tech are volunteers. He said many of them work in the background.
There was a genius idea to say, how about if we really want to vest our interests in the communities, let's do it ourselves. So the first were tryouts in 2014. We called upon our own employees, hey, who wants to help teaching STEM career topics to young girls? Who wants to help? A call out to our own employee population. And it was an interesting phenomenon. There were plenty of employees who wanted to help. That is the reason why, if you think about MasterCard could have close to 20,000, 30,000 employees worldwide. When you think about the volunteers that have worked in Girls for Tech, it's up to 7,000. So if you do the math, like 30% of the complete employee population of the company has participated as a volunteer in this effort. So some of us teach, some of us share knowledge, some of us create the program. And it's interesting because it continues to evolve as we MasterCard see technology evolving in the world. This year, for example, in that workstation over there, we have 2 new topics, artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. So that was added to the curriculum, but this group who is creating the content.
Diane Garnett, the principal of Grace Primary School, said that her school sent 60 girls from standards 4 through 6 who are 9 to 12 years old. She said the program is great as it opens their eyes to possibilities they likely wouldn't have considered before. We also heard from Holy Redeemer students who explained why they enjoyed the workshop.
This to me is crucial, it's important, it's the way the world is going. Technology, science and technology is what is ruling the world. And for me, my girls at this point in time is getting an opportunity to tap into what they will actually be using. We know that AI is a part of life now. Anything you do is technology. And so this gives my children an idea to look not only as to what they will use maybe for tomorrow in high school, but in the world of work. What will I choose to do? No longer we're staying with the traditional jobs. So if you think about it, every job you think about, technology is incorporated. This gives them an opportunity to tap with their foot and go there.
This program was very active with us. It was very informative, and I love this amazing STEM workshop so much. I think it's very fun, and it lets young girls to have the opportunity to learn about technology.
Well, I really like it because it made me know a lot of stuff that I didn't know before. Like, I didn't know what AI meant, and now I know that it means artificial intelligence. I didn't know what IoT meant, and now it meant Internet of Things.
I think it's very good because it made me learn about mathematics, and I really love mathematics so much.
The program to get young girls into technology, Girls for Tech, which is spearheaded by MasterCard and implemented in Belize through the Belize Bank, highlights the unfortunate statistic that shows very few women and girls get into a career in technology. Principal at Grace Primary School in Belize City, Diane Garnett, spoke on the societal need to encourage youths, especially girls, to broaden their minds and encourage their creativity.
I kind of felt a little weird first when they said girls only, but when I think about it and I listen to the statistics, then I see why it is important. And as a woman, we lead a lot of things. We lead the household, we lead our children, and so I think we want also to lead in our jobs, right? So this is I don't really feel in way because the statistics says 70% male, 30% women. We need to get there too. So I feel good about it.
And is it true what was said on the podium that at a younger age, these kids feel like they can do any and everything, but that kind of dissipates as they age?
Yes, and sometimes I think us as teachers, us as parents are to be blamed for that, because as they grow up, we tend to kind of quell their creativity in how they speak and maybe in what they say, in what they draw, in what they write, because we believe society wants us to behave a certain way. And when we do that, sometimes that's how we crush their creativity. No, through science and technology, they're able to soar. It's open. It's so many avenues that you can go through. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I do think so, but we are seeing that we need to change and we need to draw back and have our children be the creative, independent selves that they are.
Namrita Balani, the Director of Science and Technology at the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, spoke of the need to break stereotypes and encourage girls to get into careers that have traditionally been thought of as for men only.
think this program is great. I mean, when I was in school, there weren't programs like this. There was no one to encourage you. You weren't exposed to technology like this. You weren't, as females, we weren't even shown that we were able to do these fields. It was just sort of that stereotype where men belong in engineering and men belong in technology, and females, you go do nursing or something like that. So I think it's really great to see more programs like this. And I've been talking to the girls, and they're super excited. They're talking about how they've been exposed to coding, to big data, and so it's just great to see.
And the annual Cancer Walk will be held on Saturday, May 24 from Ladyville to Belize City. The theme for this year is Walking for Hope, United for a Cancer-Free Future. There will be other walks held during that time in different parts of the country. Marcia Escarpeta, the director and treasurer of the Belize Cancer Society, said that they are already accepting orders for the t-shirts, including special orders for companies or organizations.
Okay, so the Cancer Walk will be Saturday, May 24th, and we start at 5 at the Ladyville, like we did last year. We started back at Ladyville, so we'll be starting at Ladyville at 5 a.m. and we finish the walk here.
Is it just Belize City?
Well, we have different branches, and different branches do their walk at a different time. So the branches then send out when Belmopan will be having their walk, Dangriga has a walk, Punta Gorda has a walk too, and San Ignacio. So they do put out a calendar of events when they will be doing their walks. But for Belize City, we're doing it on May 24th. Now, we do have where companies can send in their orders, how many shirts they want, and we can offer to put the logos on the left side or wherever you would like to put your logos. There's a little increase for us to put your logos on the cancer shirt, but you can start sending in your orders from now so that we can get those orders out. The shirts are $60 for the dry fit and $35 for the shirts.
And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.